What is going on, everybody? This is episode 807 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And it's been a great week. It's been a great week all around. Came back from a cruise. The rest of the week went good as far as going to work. And both of our teams was able to win games. Georgia Southern, they went into South Alabama and beat a really tough South Alabama team. And the Falcons took care of the Cowboys. So we're looking really good. But now, the next upcoming games, even though Georgia Southern has a bye, we're walking into trap games. Don't get it twisted. The Saints don't look good, but we're playing them in New Orleans, so don't get it twisted. You're going to have to go there and make things happen. And Georgia Southern is playing Troy, where Troy has been known to spoil the party for Georgia Southern for quite some time. And also, the return of Gerald Green, one of our former running backs for Georgia Southern, is playing for Troy, and he had a monster game this past week. So I think they have another game prior to us, playing us, but still, he's going to love coming back to Paulson Stadium, and he may try to make a statement. So you better watch out for both of these teams. So if this is your first time here, welcome. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. I am also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Also, you can follow me on X at VF Baller. Over there, I talk about things that don't necessarily make it to the show. And I also talk about things that's on my gaming channel as well, the VF Cast, where I talk about gaming and everything in the umbrella. So if you want more content from me, that's one of the or two places that you can go as well. Before I get started, I want to tell everybody, do your due diligence and go vote. The presidential election is going to be tomorrow. You can vote on that. I don't care who you vote for. I really don't. But do your due diligence and vote and have a say in what's going on in the country. Nevertheless, let's go ahead and get into this. We're going to start with the Falcons. Georgia Southern, they have a bye, so I don't want to put too much emphasis on them really quick. So I'm going to talk about the Falcons first. The Falcons are 6-3 right now. They're looking very good when it comes to what they're trying to accomplish this year. 6-3. They just beat the Cowboys. They're pretty much beating every NFC team they face, I think, except for the Seahawks, which was kind of a head scratcher how they lost that game. But nevertheless, they won 5 of their last 6, and they're looking really good. And they're going up against the Saints. Don't take this game for granted. First of all, this game is a divisional game, so all divisional games are tough. No matter what happened, their coach just got fired, but that doesn't matter. That makes them put more emphasis on what we need to do, because the new interim coach is coming in could throw some wrinkles into some things that we're not used to seeing, and it may trip us up for a loop. Chris Olave, he's been down again. Don't know what's going to happen with him. Quite honestly, I'll say this. Just like with him and Tua Tagovailoa, you got a couple of guys who are constantly getting concussions. At some point, you got to worry about your health. Shout out to a former quarterback that was a thorn in our side, Grayson McCall. He hung it up after his situation with concussion. So this is something you don't take lightly, and I'm pretty sure they're not. But I don't expect Olave to play, which really, with the way that the Saints are going, they're going in a downward spiral. And this new situation with Dennis Allen out of the way, this could spark this team. So no matter how well the Falcons are moving, with the injury side of things, you have Drake London day-to-day, you have Grady Jarrett day-to-day. So you got two pivotal pieces on each side of the ball, probably going to be playing in this game. Even if they don't, that would, be, I'm not against it. But even with those guys on the field, you still got to take heed. Like, look, this team can still beat you. You're going in hostile territory, and I know Kirk Cousins had great success in the Superdome, but you just don't want to get lackadaisical. Hey, we're number one in the division, this, that, and the third. We're good. Hopefully that the Bucks beat the Chiefs, makes it even better for us. We're just going to cruise in and get a victory. Now you can get punched in the mouth that way. So don't take this team for granted. So we go in there. I hope the Falcons go in there and play like the season's on the line. They should play every game like the season's on the line. There's one of the ways that you get accustomed to playing with that urgency, and you will be in a good position to possibly make it to a Super Bowl and win it if you play with that type of urgency. So hopefully they look at this game as a trap game, and they will go and find a way to win this game, walk out of there, and continue to move on at 7-3. Hopefully, we'll talk about this game later on down in the week because some things are going to change. You know how things are. Who's going to play? Who's not going to play? You never know. I just talked about Grady Jarrett. I just talked about Drake London. Maybe one of them, maybe both of them do not play. But one thing, we do have weapons to still be okay if any of that happens. But things change. You don't know what's going to happen with the Saints. Will they put Spencer Rattler back out there with Derek Carr play? I don't know. I haven't been following that team, so I don't know. But we will talk about that later. But best believe we are walking into a trap game into New Orleans. Now, when you look at Georgia Southern and Troy, once again, there's not much to talk about here because this game is basically a week away, more than a week away. So, and I didn't notice because I thought, honestly, Georgia Southern already had a bye already. But what it is they had the Thursday night games that make it feel like it's a bye. And some of these weeks have been prolonged than we thought they were. So they did not necessarily have a true bye when they were off. They had like these long, sessions where they didn't play after a Thursday night game, which is really, that worked out great for Georgia Southern. And I think that worked out very well for Jalen White because Jalen White has been going through it with, an ankle and turf toed and this, that, and the third. And he's shown that he's, with the time off, is gets him more healthier. So this should work in his favor. As of right now, Troy is 2-7. They did just beat the They just beat the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, which that just shows you any team can get beat at any time. And we also still have to play the Chanticleers later on this year. So it shows you that the level of competition is not as high as we look at it on paper, but these teams could beat anybody at any time. They're coming to Paulson. Like I said, Gerald Green's going to be back into Paulson Stadium, which is going to be pretty phenomenal, to be honest. I think it's going to be pretty neat that he's going to be back in the saddle and actually be back at his old stadium because one thing I will say, a lot of people in in the spaces of Georgia Southern, the fan base, even the coaches, I even know what's his name? Oh goodness, Coach Clay Helton. Good Lord, Coach Clay Helton and a lot of the teammates still think highly of Gerald Green. He was one of our premier backs at one time. I mean, he was one of the driving forces of us beating Nebraska. So I mean, it's going to be a little bit bittersweet watching him in another uniform. I mean, I did watch him at East Carolina, and then now you see him going to be it with Troy. It's going to be a little bittersweet to see him back on the field, not in the blue and white. But nevertheless, his replacement, or the guy who basically, I ain't gonna say moved him from the depth chart, but a guy who is Gerald Green right now for us is OJ Arnold, and we're gonna see him, and also we should see Jalen White basically run rush shot on Troy, and it's gonna be a tale of two backs, or a set of two backs, because the running backs for Troy, they both ran for 100 yards against Coastal Carolina, so if we can stop that, that should be a really big difference in the game. So I'm not going to get too far into the game because, like I said, it's a whole 10 days, 12 days until the game is going to be on deck. So I don't know. I just know right now that's what we're up against. I have to look at the rest of what Troy does. And I think they play later on this week, and I'll be watching them once again. And I may just go back and look at the game against the Chanticleers that Troy played, because that was one of their better games. I mean, they won that game after losing 4 straight, and you just want to see what worked for them, and see if they can try to implement it in the next game, and then probably try to implement it against us. As for us, at the end of the day, Georgia Southern played pretty well, especially that second half of the South Alabama game. I mean, things just wasn't going right for us in the beginning. We were down 14-30, y'all. 14-30. We were down by 16 points. We came back and scored 20 unanswered in the fourth quarter. I don't like winning games that way. It's kind of similar to the Marshall game. Don't like winning games that way, but I will say this. If we get the win, I'll take the win. But I would like Georgia Southern to be a little bit more commanding in their W's, where we don't have to worry about trying to come back, or it'll be a nail biter at the end. Don't get me wrong. I love some nail biters from time to time, but I don't want every game to be that way. So I think that we're on our way, especially with Georgia Southern. The Falcons still got some things to do, but I think Georgia Southern's on their way. I mean, you're talking about a team that could, right now, we're looking at 9-3. We're looking at 9-3 right now. If we can go ahead and get these next 3 victories, and that would be absolutely awesome. That would be something that we would want in our belt, because I think we'll have a good chance of being in the national title game or national title playoffs if we can pull that off. I mean, I don't know. It's a stretch because you still got what's that team? Oh Lord, Boise State is a team that pretty much you know and knocked the socks off us with the running game in that first game. Even though we were very competitive, uh, you still have a chance to finish 9-3, get a possibly win the Sun Belt, and then you are in the conversation of are you going to get that 12th spot, because the top group of 5 team will get it. And to be honest, I'm not 100% sure how it will work. But if Boise State was to drop a game, if they don't win their conference, how does that bode for Georgia Southern? Does that put them on top of the group of 5? I mean, what about Navy? What about Army? What about whoever's coming out of Conference USA? It's a lot going on there. So I don't know how that's going to play out. Who's going to come out the American is, I don't know. But the only thing you could do is basically take care of business. So you win the next 3, finish 9-3, hopefully, but it's one game at a time, and there's a long way to the next game. So you're looking at Georgia Southern, they're looking great. The Atlanta Falcons, before I get out of here, I'll talk about them again. Do not overlook what these guys have to go up against. They're going up against the Saints team that's probably pretty desperate. They're 2-7. They don't like losing, and they don't want to lose to us at any point, especially at home. So what I would say, you go in there and play like it's a playoff game. You treat it as if a playoff game. You go in there and play it at the highest level that you can. And I just don't think that the Saints will be able to compete with us. So let me know what you guys think. If you like this commentary, the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Subscribe to my Apple Podcast, my Spotify. Follow me on X. I will say one thing. I haven't been looking at the numbers lately, but Spotify, if anything, because I haven't looked at the Apple stuff, but Spotify numbers are looking very solid as of the last few months. I cannot thank you guys enough. I thought it was going to be a little bit of drop off because of the off season, but even throughout the off season, you guys have still maintained the numbers, kept the numbers up. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are absolutely awesome, and we're over 1,600 subs on YouTube. That's pretty great, and I'm over 1,500 followers on X, and it just feels great. It really does, and I cannot thank you guys enough. Hopefully, we'll walk away with some wins, but I'm gonna be honest with you guys. We are walking into trap games. We have to be careful. We've come far as of right now. We're in a really good position for both teams, and we don't want to drop the ball, especially when you got people behind you like Marshall, and you turn right around, you got the Bucks right behind you. You got a good lead. Hold on to that lead and keep it moving. So I'm gonna get up out of here. Y'all take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, y'all. I'm out. Peace.